Hello everyone, welcome to Minimal Mindful Mama. I'm Katie Mixon and I love helping busy moms to declutter and organize their lives so that you can live the life you want to without feeling like you have to clean and organize all of the time. When my first two girls were young, I remember feeling very overwhelmed with my house and the amount of clutter that was in it. I felt like I could never catch up or have a clean and organized home because it was just so overwhelming. I wanted to be present and to be able to spend time with my children, but whenever I did sit down with them, I would only ever be thinking about the chores that I needed to be getting back to. When I first heard about minimalism, it really kind of clicked for me that I just had too much stuff in our home. When my husband and I got married, we combined our two separate apartments worth of stuff, and we never actually really went through or decluttered anything. We just kind of grabbed all his stuff, moved across the country, grabbed all my stuff, and put it all in our new home together. So for me, it was kind of a light bulb moment, realizing that we probably definitely had more stuff in our home than what we actually needed or even wanted. But because life had been so busy with getting married and then buying a house and then having kids and just working and life, it had never really occurred to me before that I needed to just get rid of some of the clutter. There was one particular shelf in our bedroom that always really bothered me. It always had so much stuff on it. Stuff was constantly falling off. No matter how I would try to arrange it, it just never ever looked nice because the things on it weren't actually things that I liked or wanted to have in our bedroom. So when I first started to read about minimalism, I looked at that shelf in a new light and I realized that I didn't really even want any of the things that I was storing on it. Getting rid of the majority of the things that were stored on that shelf was hugely freeing to me, and that feeling of relief that I felt really helped to spur on the rest of my decluttering. The more stuff in our home that I got rid of, the easier I realized it was becoming to clean and organize and tidy things up. I always like to say the less stuff that you have, the less stuff you have to clean, and that was a huge motivator for me. I didn't want to spend an entire day cleaning my house or organizing my house and not be present with my kids the way that I wanted to, only to feel the next day like I still had a huge list of work ahead of me. So the more that I got rid of in our home, the faster and simpler it was becoming to tidy up the house and then to have time left over to sit down with my kids and play with them, or to take them for a walk or to the park. Now, there are two different aspects to that being present with my children that I'd like to address. One, I definitely did need to declutter my home. I needed to create a simpler routine for myself that could be more achievable, but I also needed to change my mindset. I needed to disconnect my identity from having all those chores be perfectly done all of the time, and I needed to be able to sit down with my kids and to not be thinking about those chores while I was with them. So decluttering definitely helped me to be able to focus less on the chores, but I also needed to have a mindset shift. Part of the way that I did this was by figuring out what my priorities were. Now, everyone's priorities are going to be different. I talk about this in a lot of different videos, but each family is going to have things that are important to them. Maybe your family is big into sports, or maybe your family is a musical family, or whatever maybe your family's thing is. Think about what's important to you and what you want to prioritize in your family's lives. If you don't have an obvious thing that's jumping out to you already, really think about what's important to you personally. What do you want to teach your children, or what skills do you have that is really important to you that you pass along to them? What would your ideal day look like? I encourage you to take some time and maybe write some of these things down so that you can refer back to it in the future, because I find that this is a really helpful exercise to redirect your focus to where you want to be headed. Decluttering is great, but without that priority in mind of things that you want to be focused on, you have no real direction or goal. The decluttering is a tool to help you to remove the excess so that you can focus on that priority. It can also be a really helpful tool for when you are decluttering so that you know which things align with that goal that you should hold on to and which things are extraneous that you need to let go of. So for me, identifying those priorities was really helpful because it did help to shift my mindset and my focus over towards this is what I'm prioritizing for my children and for my family, and to not be so focused on the cleaning and organizing that needed to be done. It enabled me to be very intentional and mindful with my children and the time that I was being present with them. And it enabled me to be intentional in other areas of my life as well. After I had done a huge declutter of our house, which took a long time and it was done gradually for sure, I got to a point where I felt like it only took me an hour or two to go through the entire house and have it cleaned up. This was also really helpful to me because I could spend that time with my kids and be less focused on all the chores to do at home, because I knew that in a pinch I could have it tidied up pretty quickly. Of course, there's always going to be daily maintenance and deep cleaning and such to be done, but by eliminating a lot of the excess stuff that was just there to be dusted, or little tiny toys that would just get spread all over the floor that my girls didn't even play with, it reduced the amount of work that fell on me. One final thing that I'd like to talk about is that when you are identifying your priorities and what you want your life to look like, it might not immediately in this season look like your ideal. So for example, I love to travel, and that's something that I really hope to do with my children one day. I want to take them to see a lot of different places around the world. But right now, my kids are still pretty young, and it's just not really doable for our family in this moment. But just because I'm not able to achieve that huge future goal right now doesn't mean that that can't be my priority and what we're working towards. We can do shorter day trips, and as they get older, we can do more and more. So don't get discouraged if your ideal life maybe isn't achievable right now. By keeping that as your focus for the future, you can find smaller ways to take baby steps towards that goal. So this is why I love sharing decluttering and organizing tips on my channel, because it's made such a huge difference in my life and my motherhood personally. I was so overwhelmed and tired of feeling like a failure, and by decluttering and creating some simple routines, I was able to reduce so much of that stress and that built up feelings of failure. I was able to spend less time cleaning and organizing, and I was able to take that time to be more of the mom that I wanted to. That then made me feel better about it, and it helped me to continue to declutter and to continue to simplify and to continue to work towards being more and more present for my children. So if you can relate to any of this at all, consider writing down what your priorities are or what your family's priorities are. You can think about it personally, or you can discuss it as a family, what you'd like your focus or your direction to be as a family. You can also check out some of my decluttering videos. I have helpful tips or ideas of things that you can declutter or how to get started. So be sure to stick around and check out some of those. Thank you guys so much for watching. Happy decluttering and simplifying, and I'll see you very soon in the next video.